Hey, welcome into a live Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma fired up to get back at it. Lions and Vikings on Sunday from Ford Field. And fresh off the hardwood covering the Detroit Pistons. Now to Locked On Lions, it's Natalie Kerwin.
Hey, Natalie here with FanDuel Sports Network. Not a whole lot to say here besides the Lions. It's Halloween weekend, and they're ready to spook the Vikings right out of Ford Field.
Hey, Bradford Banta here, 22-year NFL veteran. And in Detroit right now, the mood isn't cautious. It's confident. The Vikings are arriving, the Lions are primed, and Ford Field's about to roar.
One pride. It's the Lions Squad. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
And here we go. Welcome one, welcome all. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, and Bradford Banta fired up to be with you. Amazing show lined up. Aiden Hutchinson gets paid. He gets the bag, as the kids say. And we got the Week 9 matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. We'll talk to Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Vikings and their squad show. Get the inside look from that. As always, we'll have Nat's notes and the coach's corner. But before we go any further, how about a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor? This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's a crossover Thursday presented by PrizePicks. So download the app today. Use that code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineups. But squad, how are we doing? It feels like we're getting back into the routine a little bit. It's a good Thursday. We'll look ahead to the matchup. Nat, you're doing double duty, so I'll start with you. A couple of Pistons victories, but hey, a pretty good week going for you so far.
Yeah, pretty good week. They had the home opener on Sunday, so that was nice. Tough loss on Monday. We did not have that game, so I was able to watch from home, but then back last night, so maybe goes to show when FanDuel does the game, there's a little luck in there when Nat's on the sidelines. I'm just saying, I'll leave it at that. No, but it's been good, pulling double duty, getting back in the swing of things, and of course, you know, the Lions having this past week off with the bye week. I guess we didn't really have a bye week per se. We still kept things up with the podcast, and we've been ready to go and get back at it and talk some Lions football. So I know we're looking forward to getting into this episode today and another divisional opponent on deck. So I know we're ready to go. Bradford, I think you're feeling the same way. I could see the head nod over there.
Yeah, I got a little vibe going right now. You know, it's been awesome, you know, to read about how healthy the Lions are starting to become. And then, you know, being, you know, hey, Locked On Lions squad show, it's been kind of cool to read how unhealthy, you know, the Minnesota Vikings are right now. And then on top of that, also their offensive line is struggling a little bit. And then quoting you, Jake, you know, with Aiden getting the bag, and then him coming off of that big signing, looking to build on his stats a little bit. So I was perusing Twitter, X, however you want to refer to it now, right before we got on the show, and they were saying it was a clip of Aidan Hutchinson going against School whenever he was with the last time he went against School was whenever School was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it ended with a sack. So let's see some more of it.
Looking forward to that. I've had the good fortune of stepping in for Matt Derry on the Daily Show on the Locked On Lions podcast network, which is my clever reminder to make sure you subscribe to all things on Locked On Lions. Like today's video as well. That helps us out a great deal. But what a week to have a couple of episodes to talk about Aiden Hutchinson and everything going on there. And right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm going to use a little comparison here with a different NFL franchise that also had a star pass rusher that didn't exactly lock up said star pass rusher for the long term. The drama unfolded, and everybody in Dallas could not stand watching Micah Parsons leave. And of course, he ends up in Green Bay, which is not great for Lions fans. But point being, the stark contrast between the way the Lions organization, Brad Holmes, and everyone was proactive about getting the deal done. And Aiden Hutchinson is just the most recent example of I would say, proactive and effective roster management that we've seen from Brad Holmes and his entire staff in that front office for the Detroit Lions, which, again, comparing it to a different franchise that weren't so lucky to have that, it feels good to have Brad Holmes cooking once again. And Nat, I'll kick it to you first. Your immediate reaction when you saw Hutchinson sign the big contract.
Well, I immediately saw the Lions tweet out the GIF of Hutch doing his from Hard Knocks, the dance Billie Jean, no caption, just the GIF, and I'm like, yes, it was done, the deal was made. Like I knew something good happened in Allen Park, so I'm stoked, right? Like the Lions, of course, they treat their guys well, they pay their guys, and Hutch is one of the cornerstones that the organization is building around, and he is part of the future, right? Long term. And so to your point, Brad Holmes wants to take the guys that they have and treat them well and pay the ones that they have and take care of the people that they have in the organization. And just going through the list of guys that they have taken care of, Hutch being the most recent one, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, J-Mo, Kirby, Aleem, Taylor Decker. Like, I think it just goes to show that the Lions are a place where you're going to go there, you're going to get developed the right way, and you're going to be paid. And I think it's a compliment to Aiden too, because you look at the last year that he's had, he breaks his leg basically a year ago, comes back, the season we've seen from him so far, you know, he's come back and he's started to have the same sort of season that he's had last year. Like, he's continuously ramped up, hasn't of course been on the same pace he was last year, but he's been great from what we've seen so far. And, you know, Brad, I'm sure, and him have had talks like, hey, if you can show me like you're that same kind of guy, like I'm going to pay you. We're going to get a deal done. And that's what we just saw. And so I guess I'll ask you guys too, like, do you think this was great timing on Brad's part? Like, was this at the right time? Like, too early, too late, perfect timing, right after the bye week? Like, what did you see when this deal got done too?
Yeah, if you don't mind, if I button in here, Jake. Here's the thing with Brad Holmes. So he came from the Rams, and he learned from Les Snead, you know, but also he's taken a page out of, let's just say, one of our division rivals, the former Green Bay Packers, of what they used to do. And they used to grow from within. And then you take care of those players that you grow from within. And that's one of the things that they have done an excellent job of at the Detroit Lions, is grow within and then reward those players. And that, yeah, I'm saying exactly what you're saying, but it's just in a little bit different way. You take care of those who take care of you. And that's what this personnel department and Dan Campbell and Sheila have done, and Spielman and all those guys have done. They take care of the people that have taken care of them and have established the culture in the building, and they want to keep that culture going. So why not reward the players that helped get you there and are still performing at a peak level? That's what they're doing. They're paying players that are still performing at a peak level, because a lot of times you'll get a player that will get paid after he's on the descent. And the way I like to term it is leaking a little oil, and they'll get a big time contract, but then they won't play up to that contract. Well, if you look at who the Lions have signed or re-signed or given a new contract to, these guys have stepped onto the field and have set the tone for the team. And that is what you want. And to me, that is smart business and football management of not only the building, but also of the players.
No, absolutely. And I think we, at least from a fan perspective, you get almost accustomed to just the style and the approach from this Lions front office. And you gotta, I mean, grateful is probably an overstretch, but at the same time, just a sincere appreciation for their proactive approach. And as I was going through it yesterday, I'm looking, okay, this is a long list of cornerstone players that are, for lack of a better term, locked up for the foreseeable future. Hutch, of course, is the most recent. You got Goff for the next 4 years, Amon-Ra St. Brown and a 4-year deal, Penei Sewell, Jamison Williams, Kirby Joseph, Aleem McNeil, Taylor Decker. And you start to say that out loud. And that's why I just kind of chuckle when I have to listen to fans of opposing teams try to say, oh, the Lions window is closed. And it's just like, it's really not. You're telling on yourself that you don't know ball. So fortunately, I'm in the midst and in the company of fellow Lions fans that I don't have to yell at. Not that I would ever yell at anybody, Natalie. I mean, I'm a nice guy and I don't really get too fired up, thing like that. But just, I guess when I say that list out loud collectively, like, I mean, Taylor Decker's fighting some injuries and so on and so forth. But other than that, there's just not really at this point in time in 2025, a deal that you look at and don't just absolutely love. I think anyone that has issues with any of these deals are just looking to try and find something. And maybe that's a little bit too much fanboy in me coming out, Nat. And, I'm also, I like at the same time, love when you validate that I'm not being too much of a fanboy.
No, I'm here with you, Jake. I'm usually in your corner most of the time.
Appreciate that.
Come on now. I got you. No, I mean, hey, you look at that list, like you can't argue against it. Like you can't help but be a fan and agree with Brad's same mindset of thinking, locking these guys up for long-term deals because they deserve it. And to Bradford's point, like they're going to reward the guys that have helped the team out. Like it's tit for tat. Like you're helping us, we're going to reward you right back. And all of those guys have proven themselves. And so to me, they deserve these long-term deals that they've gotten, and they are the pieces to this Lions team that are going to continue to bring them success, hopefully for years to come. I mean, when I do look at that list, yes, Taylor Decker is the one that's maybe, he's the guy that's been on the team the longest at this point, the one that's battling through the shoulder injury, that's limited in practice. That's yes. He's struggling, right? So that one's a little bit, but he's also your veteran leader. So there's some mixed opinions on that one. But the rest of these guys, I mean, they're your dudes that you want on this roster for years to come, and you want them to feel appreciated. You want them to feel like, hey, I want to be in Detroit, and that's been the cultural shift too the last couple of years, right,
yeah,
guys? Like, when's the last time you heard players want to come to Detroit, want to be a Lion? Like that's been the biggest change too. Players wanting to stay in Detroit and be in Detroit. And if they're going to get paid here too, they're
right.
going to be here, right? So
that's such a great point, because I can't remember what former Lion, it might have been Damian Woody on ESPN, that, I mean, this is probably 5 to 10 years ago already, was like, yeah, everybody just went to Detroit at the end of their career so they could just take it easy. And that is just so far removed from this new look Lions, or however,
new sheriff in town. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. All right, let's wrap up this segment with a little Q&A, because our guy Kevin Jones -Q31 has got a good question here for Coach Banta, saying, Coach, as the second half kicks off, what are you seeing that's different or improved from last year's Lions team that leads you to believe that the Lions are better positioned to go deeper in the playoffs? Which, by the way, is a good reminder. Hit up the chat. We'll mix in some here. And Coach Banford, take it away.
Yeah. So, look, Kevin, this is what I see mainly is the depth that they are developing due to unfortunate circumstances on defense. They're developing depth on defense, not only in the secondary, but also at the right time at the line, in the linebacker crew, and at the right time in the defensive line. That depth is going to benefit them in a rotational standpoint, meaning they're going to have fresher players on the field whenever the playoffs come around. Now, the key is going to be for the second half of the season or the remaining, 10 games, is to keep all these guys healthy. The other difference that I see from this team is you have a majority of your players, your veteran players, they have one more year of experience, that many more reps to gain, and then that burning desire, because these guys know what they have. They have something that is special, and they want to capitalize on that at this point in time for the 2025 season.
Bada boom, bada boom. I like that. And as always, it is, as I mentioned, a good reminder to hit up the chat, and we will mix in as many as we can. All right, quick timeout. Great show continuing to be lined up here on Locked On Lions Squad Show. We got Nat's Notes coming up. We got Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Vikings Squad Show joining us for a little Vikings preview later in the program, and then wrapping up with Coach's Corners. But Nat, what's coming up?
All right, we are talking about maybe some guys the Lions will be getting back for some reinforcements on Sunday. I mentioned Halloween is this weekend. The Lions did enjoy their bye week and have a little Halloween party, their annual one. So we're going to have a little fun and show off some of those costumes. For the people that are tuning in live here on YouTube, we might show off some of those, my personal favorites. So I want to show you my top 5. And then, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll talk about maybe who's in, who's out, and get to those costumes. So stick around. Locked On Lions Squad Show.
Hey, today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. All you have to do is download the PrizePicks app, because you and I make decisions every single day. But on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement on this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. No love for the World Series there. Thanks a lot, PrizePicks. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. You just pick more or less on 2 players' stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates. That includes California, Texas, and Georgia. I also love the new stacks feature. It's a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists, and stack them all in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. So download the PrizePicks app today and use that code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Back with you on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Nat's Notes. Take it away, Natalie Kerwin.
All right, Nat's Notes here on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. So we just got done talking about the huge mega deal, Aidan Hutchinson getting that bag. We can all collectively agree we are so happy for the man getting paid. And just because we didn't mention it, I want to just go over the specific details of this deal. It's a 4-year extension through 2030. So it's $180 million with $141 million guaranteed. That would be nice to get in my pocket and all of our pockets, guys. We can only dream, but it's the most guaranteed money ever for a non-QB. Insane.
You think Divine Child gave him a call?
Huh?
You think Divine Child gave him a call?
Yeah. You know what? I'm thinking they might have. Hey,
well, you get the Divine
program?
Yeah, Divine Child or Michigan's NIL collective. Michigan doesn't need any help. They're paying Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, come on. You're great point on that. But Divine Child, maybe. I'm sure he got a lot of phone calls in the last 24 hours. Bradford, I'm sure you could add to that list if you want. You got a relationship with him.
Not like that, Nat.
Just said, hey, remember all those times I helped you be the backup long snapper? Come on now.
Hey. Right. Yeah, put more tools in your toolbox, pal.
That's right.
That's it. Made you more valuable.
Right. Time to help old coach out all these years later. Come on now, Hutch. But Kelvin Shepherd, he was asked this morning during the Lions press conference if Hutch needs a little rest from playing 90+% of the defensive snaps. And he said back, we just paid him half the building. So he better play 90+% of the snaps, and the whole room laughed. So I just had to share that little tidbit because he's not wrong.
Awesome.
So obviously expecting a lot of a guy like Hutch, and yes, of course, getting paid pretty much what is worth of that entire Allen Park facility. But, guys, we just, of course, talked about it. But I want to ask, too, of course, with the trade deadline coming up as well, and when there are contract extensions being made and all the different things, do you think this kind of contract resets the market for edge rushers? Because now, obviously this is the most guaranteed money ever for a non-QB. And I feel like you look at the Micah Parsons trade and the money that he got, and just, is this simply, paying what elite defensive ends are worth right now? Like, are we just going to see the price keep going up? What do you guys see from this deal?
The price is going to keep going up. I mean, if the players are worth it, they're going to pay it. And I've always said, if they're willing to pay you, you're not going to be like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm worth that much. I'm not going to take that. So there's 32 owners, and they own an NFL team for a reason. The TV contracts are worth umpteen billions of dollars. And the sponsorships, the this, that, and the other, they do okay. There's 32 of them for a reason. And there's a reason why there's a line of people at the door waiting to get into that club. And they're in football to make money. So if they're willing to pay the players, then the players are going to be willing. I mean, they're going to be willing to take it. It is. But yes, this sets the bar. Now, the players that are coming up for contract extensions have to play to the level of Micah Parsons and Aidan Hutchinson to deserve that kind of cash. Talking about the edge rushers, talking about a Trey Hendrickson, talking about a Kayvon Thibodeau, talking about, who else were we discussing a couple weeks ago? Just as possible players to bring in as to play on the other side of Aiden. But yes, this sets the bar, but those other players have to play up to those expectations, unless you get an owner that just really likes the guy and says, you know what, you're a good guy, you're good for the club, we'll pay you this much. And most of, I would say 99, I'd say 31 and a half out of the 32 teams, the owners are going to be like, hey, you got to play to this type of skill level to get that kind of cash.
Yeah, I think too, the edge rusher, and it's not the exact same comparison, but we saw this like with the quarterback position where you have to have a good quarterback. And so you have no other choice but to pay them. I mean, there was that stretch, I want to say it was like 2017 to 2020 or so. It was just whatever quarterback was next to sign his deal. The headline was always X quarterback becomes highest paid quarterback. And I don't think that's going to necessarily happen with the edge rushers, but it's kind of the same concept where it's such a crucial position on the defensive side of the football that if you have a guy that's worth that type of investment, you dig deep in the pockets to ensure that he stays with you. Now, I don't think anyone's going to be breaking Hutch's deal as far as the guaranteed money goes anytime soon. But that said, it's just kind of the same trend.
But here's what you also have to take into consideration is talking about the salary cap. Now, on the business or business aspect of things, there's revenue sharing that the owners have with the players in the collective bargaining agreement. And with that, the owners have an idea of how much the cap is going to go up on an annual basis. And there are projections, I'm sure, 5 to 10 years down the road. Now, there's a new collective bargaining agreement that they would like to renegotiate because the NFL owners want to add an 18th game to the schedule. They want to get that done sooner rather than later because there's still, 5 years left on the current collective bargaining agreement. But the NFL has also come out and said until the NFLPA, the Players Association, finds their new leader, we will not engage in contract talks for a new collective bargaining agreement at this moment. My point being is the business side and paying Hutch this money is, I'm willing to say, probably three years down the road. Let's say the 28th season. You're going to look at this contract and you're going to say, man, Aiden's underpaid. That's just the economics of where football is right now, where basketball is right now, where hockey is right now, and especially where baseball is right now. Just with the TV money and sponsorship money and ad money that's coming in, that revenue share is just going to rise. And I mark my word, I hope the three of us are still doing this show 3 years down the road, and we're going to be like, man, Aiden is underpaid. So,
and we go back to this show on this day 3 years ago.
That's right. October 30th, 2025. Mark it.
To your point, I think the price tag, of course, will continue to go up. And Jake, you made such a good point. You know, when you said it was back in, you said 2017. It was when the QB market started to, every team was like just trying to one up each other in a way. Well, I'm going to pay my quarterback more. I'm going to pay my quarterback more. And it's like, oh my God, these deals just continued to one up each other. And so I don't necessarily think it's, to your point too, like going to be the same way with edge rushers, but it back then it did feel like teams were trying to just get deals done left and right. And so I do think where Aiden's at right now is going to be the standard for quite some time, but we will see something done at some point. I don't know when that'll be, that will one up where he's at. And so who knows when that's going to come down the road. But just to get into the last part of the segment, as far as just where injuries are at, who's going to be returning this coming Sunday, you guys, for this matchup, Lions did not practice yesterday, so Wednesday, but they did provide an estimated practice report, which is essentially just how coaches believe players would have participated. So yesterday, Kirby Joseph was listed as no practice. We don't like to hear that. So as of right now, we don't have what today's practice schedule looked like, unfortunately, at the time of recording this. So we shall see. But yesterday as well, Craig Reynolds, also no practice with a hamstring injury. That is a new injury after the Bucs game that, happened during that game. So that was a new one that was listed on there as well. Limited practice, Taylor Decker, Al-Quadin Muhammad, Malcolm Rodriguez is starting to get back into it in his practice window, Avante Maddox and Sione Vaki. Terrion Arnold, full practice, which is good news. And then Brian Branch, of course, going to be back from his 1-game suspension, which I know you were getting some comments from Matt.
No, nobody bring that up. You can't. I learned that the hard way. You can't say Brian Branch is a really good player and that you're happy he's back and he shouldn't get suspended.
We're just going to leave it at that then, because I'm not about to go down the Jake Riepma train here and get loaded with comments.
No. I love the Locked On Lions listeners, and I love the discourse, and some of the comments just reminded me that, hey, Brian Branch is a really good player. And even though I started every single statement with, I love Brian Branch, he's a great player, but if he could stop getting suspended, that would be great. But that was a very controversial hot take. I found out the hard way.
It's not a hot take. It's a thing, but
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate you guys continuing to validate me here.
Here's the question for y'all. And okay, so I'll get off the Brian Branch. I'll bail you out here, Jake.
Thank you. Yeah, direct your comments to Coach Bradford, please.
Yeah. So timing of the signing a week before the trade deadline. Does that help or hurt the Detroit Lions, or does that tell you that they're not really in the market for another edge rusher? Just food for thought, to put it out there. It's something to think about. I personally think that they may not be in the market for an edge rusher, just given the timing of this. And believe me, I'm very happy that they got it done, for Aiden, because it is a well-deserved contract. But at the same time, it could hinder their chances for going after, let's say, a Trey Hendrickson, of someone of that type nature player.
Right. Well, I'll just quote Dan Campbell with the whole Zadarius Smith conversation that transpired earlier this season. We good. I think we're good.
But I think we have one more thing left.
Oh,
and that's notes.
And that's notes. You've been saving it for the end, Nat.
I know. I didn't even get to where the Vikings are at as far as their injury report, but I know we have a great guest coming on next. But before we even get to that, I had to bring up one last fun part of Nat's Notes segment. So the Lions, they do have their annual Halloween party every year. And let me tell you, every guy on the roster goes all out with their costumes. So I'm on Ross St. Brown. We are lucky that he posted pretty much every guy's costume on his Instagram this week. And so I picked my top 5 favorites. It was hard to narrow it down, let me tell you. But I wanted to make sure we posted them on here for our viewers that are tuning in on YouTube, so you guys could get some sort of visual. So in no particular order, we're going to start, okay? Here is Christian Mahogany, you guys. This is him going as Shrek, okay? This is one of my favorites because I feel like he pulled it off well. I feel like the style was there, the hair, the ears. You guys can chime in too with your thoughts. I don't need to be the only fashionista expert here. But this was one of my favorites. We can roll the next one, Jake. Okay, Isaac Tesla as Prince. I feel like
That's
Brad
awesome.
would appreciate this one.
That's a good one. A little Purple Rain action going there. I like it.
I think you judge a costume not purely, but primarily on the commitment. I don't want like a t-shirt, a Superman t-shirt or something like that. Oh, I want the makeup. I want all out. And not that Mahogany's wasn't great, as I'm going back to that one here, but I need some green ogre skin. Whereas, you take a look at Tesla here and he's all in. I just want to know if you're all in on your costume.
Right. He went eyeliner. He went to the point to go to
just for the record, I did reference a movie pre-2000. So
Purple
do
Rain.
Y'all know? Okay. Do you know Purple Rain?
I do. Finally,
okay.
I can say I've seen a movie you have.
It wouldn't be a squad show if Bradford didn't remind us how much older he is than us.
Young at heart, though, my friend. Young at heart.
Okay, this one went viral. It's simple, but you had to include our QB, Jared Goff, because it's going to become a meme. Let him cook. He was a chef. So he went on to explain that him and his wife he was the chef from Ratatouille. His wife was a mouse and their baby's going to be a mouse. So that's what they're going to go as this coming weekend for Halloween, which is cute. So Jared Goff went as a chef, and supposedly he was juggling tomatoes at this party too. He knows how to juggle. What can our QB do? Jahmyr Gibbs went as Jeff Hardy, if you guys are familiar. Okay.
Pulled it off.
He very much played the part as well. And I can't remember if I have one more in there, Jake. Do I? Oh, okay.
I needed an explanation on this one, and he's our king of the week, so he can do whatever he wants when he signs the bag. But it's a Stranger Things?
Okay, my parents thought that they needed an explanation too. They go, was he a hospital patient? I said, guys, have you never seen Stranger Things? He was 11. Have you seen the series? Either of you?
I have not seen the series, but I did a little homework and I came to the, really Sherlock Holmes style, came to the conclusion that it's a character from Stranger Things and everything else. So I guess I need to watch Stranger Things.
You do. He played it perfectly. One of the main characters, 11, shaved head, wearing the hospital gown, loves to eat Eggo waffles with, has the bloody nose, has the superpower. Like Hutch did the pose perfectly. Anyway, so it's almost like if you know. And it made perfect sense if you saw it. But for those that don't, I get why it was like
IDK.
Yeah, more often than not. More often if you know, I don't know. And in the TikToks and the 6-7s, I'm on the outside of that. And that's where I'd rather be, to be honest.
That's why one of us just has to be the resident pop culture.
I love it.
That's the rose between the two thorns. And that's where we are ending this segment here today.
I love it. Nat,
hats off to you.
Yes. Yeah. A tremendous Nats Notes as always. Stick around. We've got our Vikings preview next with Sam Ekstrom of the Locked On Vikings Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by Mazda. And Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety picks awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. And you can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. Mwah, chef's kiss. Okay, I added that part, but you get the idea. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but everyday drives, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard and most crossover SUVs, you can drive with confidence through any season. And like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Back with you on the Locked On Lions Squad Show, and time now to welcome in one of the hosts of the Locked On Vikings Squad Show. When he's not answering my text messages at 2 a.m. with some kind of complaint, he is hard working covering the Minnesota Vikings. He's Sam Ekstrom. What's going on, Sam? Thanks for joining us.
An honor to sit in and see Nat's Notes, my favorite segment on my favorite squad show. It is truly wonderful to be here with you. I think Isaac Tesla takes the cake with the Prince costume. Got to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Hey,
look at that.
I am honored because you get to watch a lot of squad shows. So for you to hype up that segment of all things, that I feel like I've peaked.
It's great. It's original. It's organic. I'm a huge fan.
Well, it's also a look in the mirror moment for Bradford and I, because we got Coach's Corner with Bradford bringing in the X's and O's. So really, actually, it's just a look in the mirror moment for me. I'm not sure what I'm bringing to the table is probably the best way to summarize that. But
well, I'll be back in about 15 minutes, guys.
It's like, I'll see you guys later. Deuces.
Nat, Sam, y'all take it from here. So
yeah, very good, very good. But we know what Sam's bringing to the table. That's a deep dive on the Minnesota Vikings, a divisional opponent. So obviously the Lions fans very familiar with them. But Sam, it's been a little bit of a tumultuous start to 2025 for the Minnesota Vikings and reigning coach of the year, Kevin O'Connell. And I know you're covering this team each and every day. Probably got to start at the quarterback position, where poor Carson Wentz had to endure, his fair share of hits and injuries and so on and so forth. And you got JJ McCarthy dodging guys on the sidelines, looking pretty athletic and ready to go. What's the latest on the quarterback situation?
Yeah, we're watching JJ McCarthy dodging guys on the sideline like the Zapruder film. Like, how did he look jumping out of the way of Justin Jefferson? Kevin O'Connell's in his fourth year. 2 of those years, everything went right. Nobody got hurt. They were the darlings of the league. And then the other 2 years, the injury wheels have fallen off. And, there was the Kirk Cousins Achilles tear a couple of years ago. And then they had a little magic with Josh Dobbs. But inevitably, it kind of collapsed on them. And this year, JJ McCarthy takes the reins. He's the chosen one. He's the savior. He's the long-term franchise QB they've been looking for, and he gets the high ankle sprain in week 2. And while a lot of times the Vikings strike gold with their backup quarterback situation, that didn't exactly happen in this case with Carson Wentz. He seemed less agile than I think we believed he was. He wasn't as accurate. There were some bad decisions being made, and then asking him to play at 30% health in that Chargers game just wasn't fair to anybody. The discourse here is they should have put in their backup, Max Brosmer. Like, people are actually excited to watch the undrafted rookie because he had a really good preseason, but they threw Wentz out there as a sacrificial lamb. Didn't make a lot of sense. But now McCarthy's back, and they kind of get to re-debut him, if you will, now against Detroit after a bit of a rocky 2 games that he played to start the year.
Look, Sam, here's a question I wanted to ask you, just talking about Minnesota's defense.
Yeah.
Look, everybody knows Brian Flores and what he brings to the table as a defensive coordinator. we know what their identity was in 2024. Their identity in 2025 is still, I think, is still gelling. But I think, where are the stress points that you think Detroit can attack Flores and his defense?
Well, Flores is addicted to the blitz. That is his drug. He is a total junkie. He can't not do it. And we saw against the Chargers, predictably, he blitzed Herbert relentlessly, and he got killed. I mean, Herbert and a lot of other good quarterbacks have done this. Jalen Hurts did it 2 weeks ago. The good quarterbacks know where to go with the ball against the blitz. Now, if you think back to Week 18 last year in that kind of winner-take-all game to end the regular season, same strategy. Blitz the heck out of him and actually produce some turnovers in the first half of that game. And the Vikings were playing really well defensively. They were not opportunistic, didn't really take advantage of those turnovers they created, but they actually executed the plan. Then in the second half, continued bringing the pressure. Jared Goff figured it out. He figured out where to go with the ball, carved them up in the second half of that game. I don't know how many times I had to watch the Vikings with an unblocked rusher, a split second away from a sack. Jared Goff gets it out. I mean, he's pretty fearless in there. So I think that's the pressure point that you're trying to attack, is knowing the Vikings will blitz and having your hot routes, having your little outlets against a zone secondary that's probably a little undermanned. If they're blitzing 6 and they've got 5 dropping, you probably have an advantage in there. I think that's the book on beating the Vikings, is just getting the ball out and combating their pass rush.
Sam, to look at, just the stats so far as a whole with this Vikings team, and to see that Justin Jefferson only has 1 touchdown on the year, that stands out to me as a surprising stat. From your perspective, covering this team day in and day out, what is, I guess, a big surprise or something to you that you've noticed? And maybe why is that has JJ not, Jetta, has he not had as big of a year as we've seen in years past? Is it because of the revolving door we've seen at QB, going from a guy like Sam Darnold last year to this year, having JJ for 2 weeks and then a guy like Carson Wentz come in? What do you think has been the reason for maybe a lack of production on that end?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. JJ, or we have a JJ McCarthy and a Justin
I know,
Jefferson,
that's why I had to stop myself. I'm like, I guess I'll say Jetta.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they kind of switched it. So now it's JJ the quarterback and Jetta or Jets the receiver. So Jefferson has never been a huge touchdown guy. If you compare his numbers to one of his peers, Jamar Chase, fills it up. Like he is in the end zone all the time. And that's just not ever been a huge Justin Jefferson stat. And I think the best way to explain it is just to say that he's such a threat. He's so good that teams are just loading up on him in the red zone. Like, the area of the field gets tight. It's easier to kind of devote resources to someone that good. He's facing a ton of doubles. And let's face it too, the Vikings have had a lot of weapons that they've been able to use alternatively. So they've had TJ Hawkinson, they've had Jordan Addison, right? So the 1 touchdown this year, I think, is more of the same, along with some subpar quarterback play. They were 1 for 6, for instance, in the red zone against Philadelphia a couple weeks back. They probably win that game if they're a little more productive in that red area. The red zone will be huge against Detroit. Goes without saying. Like, they've got to score 7, cannot settle for 3 points. And they've wanted to run the ball a lot better in the red zone too. That's been a big area of emphasis for them, is trying to score on the ground. And that hasn't worked out great either. They've had an injury to Aaron Jones, and the core of it all, Natalie, is the offensive line has been so patchwork. And Detroit knows, from last year, what it's like to have everything derailed due to injuries. It's been the offensive line. Total mash unit, 12 offensive line combinations this year, which is league leading. They've got 2 tackles playing with knees that aren't 100% right now. They've got a left guard coming off wrist surgery. So even the guys that are on the field are not 100%. It's been a tough go of it with that offensive line, which is, I think, depressed a lot of those offensive numbers.
Sam Ekstrom is with us on the Locked On Lions Squad Show from the Locked On Vikings Squad Show. We appreciate your time, Sam. One thing I'm always curious about, and there's no perfect way to quantify it by any means, but part of what makes what we do so fun is just feeling the pulse, if you will, of Vikings fans. And we're entering week 9. I would make the case that the NFC North is the best division in football, and I think it's a pretty open and shut case in a lot of ways. But is there a sense of maybe not panic, but where are fans at with this Vikings team? Do you feel like they're punting on the season with the uphill battle that they've kind of created for themselves with some of the early season shortcomings?
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration right now. Vibes are not good. Vibes are not good at all. People are very frustrated with the head coach not adapting his offense a little bit more to cater to the restrictions of someone like Carson Wentz, not limiting it for someone who's new to the game like JJ McCarthy. Like, it seems like he wants to run these long developing complex routes. He's got these play calls that take 10 minutes to read off in the huddle. They're always in a hurry, it seems like, at the line of scrimmage. It just seems like there's too much going on. Do less, Kevin O'Connell. So there's consternation with the coaching staff. There's frustration that you bought into this top 10 quarterback and you gave him the keys to the car. You let Sam Darnold walk. You let Daniel Jones walk. It doesn't help that they're having career years in their new homes. That is not helping the optics whatsoever. You constructed this defense, very old defense, veteran-laden defense that has not performed up to snuff. And you really don't have a lot of cap flexibility next year. You built this 2-year window, very expensive team, very old team, and they're not playing at a high level on either side of the ball. So it's been a bit of a total system failure with regard to where the expectations were way up here. To be sitting here at 3-4 and to not really know anything more about JJ McCarthy, who did struggle mightily in a big chunk of those first 2 games. I think people are really depressed about the situation, to be honest with you. And the Vikings have a history of coming up short when the expectations are highest, and it seems like that's happening again right now.
Fair enough. Well, hey, Sunday, in our eyes, anticipating it should be a lot of fun. I don't want to speak for you, but you're a little road underdog there. But either way, hey, this has been awesome. We appreciate you hopping on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. We'll have to do it again.
Jake, Natalie, Bradford, a pleasure. Have fun on
Thanks,
Sunday.
Sam.
Thank you.
There you go. Sam Ekstrom of the Locked On Vikings Squad Show joining us on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. We appreciate his time. And coming up next, we'll close it out with the Coach's Corner. Coach Bradford Banta, what's coming up?
Got some great stuff. So now, you know what? It's time to put the chalk to the board. How are the Lions going to beat the Vikings? That's what's coming up next.
Hey, today's episode. Oh, just kidding. No ad break. There we go. Here we go. That's what. Thanks a lot, guys. Muscle memory. We're creatures of habit. My goodness. And I even sent the warning text out. Hey, no ad in that final segment. Way to go. But hey, that's great though. We can get right into Coach's Corner. Okay,
let's dive right in. Hey, what's it going to take for Detroit offensively to beat the Minnesota Vikings? So they're going to have to win first down, and how do we go about doing that? It's going to be one in the trenches with the offensive line, taking on their defensive line and just pushing them back and just leaning until you finally get a break in the, oh God, let me put it in a term y'all understand. Let's say a break in the dam. Is that okay? Everybody know what a dam is? So
I know very
we're
well.
good there. Okay, we're good. So get a little break in the dam, get a little bit of leakage of water, and then let Sonic and Knuckles do their thing. But what do we want to run against them? So let's run the duo in inside zone. Let's attack them on the inside. They're a little bit lighter on the inside, and they're a little bit it's just, why not just go directly at them and just start leaning on them? And once you start establishing this inside run and duo, then you're going to start to hit them with play action. And then that's where, you're going to start to make hay against this Minnesota Vikings defense. because once you establish that run, now there are run blitzes that Brian Flores will try to take advantage of, but you marry that up and you possibly check to a pass whenever he has a run blitz called, and you're going to catch them with their pants down. And that will start to back him off of playing that type of defense. But he will come to it again. There's no doubt about it, because he is married to the blitz. And like Sam was talking about in the last segment, well, was it the last segment since we didn't have a segment break? I don't know. But anyway, whenever Sam was on the show and he was talking about it, and he said that Flores was, just addicted to blitzing, he's going to come back to it. And it's up to us, or excuse me, us. We're not playing the game. It is up to Jared Goff and the offensive players to figure out when those blitzes are coming. What are the tells? That's what those guys are doing right now, is they're just studying the film and trying to look for tells out of any of the individual players that gives away when and what type of blitz is coming. And then, so you also, so let's just talk not briefly. Let's get into Lions defense and how are they going to attack Minnesota's offense? Obviously, you have to take care of what do we call him now? Jetty.
Yeah, that was a good poll by you, Nat. I did not know Justin Jefferson's Jetta nickname.
Jetta, yeah. Well, I said JJ, and then I'm like, well, wait. If people think I'm talking about JJ McCarthy here, yeah,
no.
Jetta,
Jetta.
JJ, like what did he say? Jets,
something like that. Anyway, Justin Jefferson. How about that? Yeah. Okay.
First
All right, I got you.
Can do that.
Yeah. So, and with the patchwork offensive line and the 12 different combinations that Sam made reference to on the starting offensive line throughout the 7-game or possibly 8-game season that we've been through so far, run the stunts, run the twist games. Can you get away? And that's what I'm going to be curious to see is, can you get away with a 4-man rush to get pressure on J.J. McCarthy? Will that do the job for the Detroit Lions? If it does, we may see a possible multiple turnover day, because we're able to flood the zones. Well, you can play man and zone at the same time, but you have to keep an eye on JJ, and just because of his scrambling ability. Now he has very good speed. It's more straightaway speed rather than change of direction type speed, but he does just enough to keep the chains rattling down the field. So, all right. So what's the coverage plan we want to have on Jefferson? You want to bracket him. We're going to have hopefully, Nat, if I'm not mistaken, our full cadre of secondary back. Is that correct? We should have pretty much.
Sounds Kirby's TBD.
Okay. All right.
We don't know about Kirby yet, but it sounds like most of the secondary will be back besides him. So we shall see.
I'll tell you who else is back. Brian Branch, a tremendous player that will have a huge impact.
I wasn't going to say it. You said it, not me.
That's just going to be our bit the rest
Let
of
the
the
haters
week.
Come for Jake. No,
okay. So, and then I got to throw this in there. Whom are we talking
Legion
about?
of whom?
Okay.
Eric Hallett,
Oh,
Thomas
good.
Harper, maybe.
Okay.
Nick Whiteside, a little love for my D2 guy.
Art Millette?
SBSU.
Yeah. I like it. All right.
So,
So look, you got to bracket him on key downs, and that would be the smart thing to do, and make sure he does not affect the game. He's going to get his. There's no doubt about it, but make sure he just does not affect the game. Keep his 1 touchdown on the year at 1 touchdown on the year at the end of this game, whenever it gets down to triple zeros. And they're going to try to hit us with a quick game and try to get the ball in the playmaker's hands. And I'm talking about slants, glance routes, hitches, and swing routes to the running back. Just drive on them hard. That's all we have to do. If we drive on them hard, because the Lions defenders have done an excellent job of open field tackling on the season. And I don't have the stats for it, but I just know what I see during the games. And that's one thing that I think they've done done a good job of. And then, switching back to offense, or we can talk about this, just situational mastery. So I've always been, as a coach, as a player, and I know Dan does this, just situation after situation after situation. If you win these situations, Bradford, what are you talking about situations? Well, I'll give you one. A simple situation is 4th and 1. What are we going to do? The players already know, because this has already been practiced. We're going to go for it. And have you seen the offense ever run off the field in a 4th and 1 situation and then have to turn around and come back onto the field once they realize, oh, we're going for it, and they act surprised? No. Why? Because they already went over it during practice. And Dan's already discussed this in team meetings. It's just, and just keep Minnesota off tempo. And just by running, run our offense, but at the same time, mix up a few things. If you're Kelvin Shepherd, mix up a few things. Mix up let the Liger make the call from the sidelines. I don't know if any of y'all, Nat, you're laughing because you saw the comment.
Yes, I did.
Because there were questions raised to him today. Was it today or yesterday?
It was today.
Okay. It was raised to him today about whether or not there's interest in the LSU job, with him being a former LSU player and a former LSU coach as well. So he looked at them and he's like, I'm a Liger. He goes, I'm wearing both. But by the way, I haven't been contacted by them, so I'm only concentrating on the Minnesota Vikings right now. Next question.
I love that. I did a whole episode on that on the Daily Show, a whole segment on it anyways. And the comments were surprisingly actually encouraging, positive. So maybe that should be my go-to then. Is I was like, listen, I'm not making up these rumors. LSU wants LSU boosters, LSU alumni, everything else. Why wouldn't you want a guy like Kelvin Shepherd? But I didn't mean to hijack your segment, Coach Banta, because I just think at some point it's a test, and we saw this last year, obviously, a testament to success. Your coordinators and your staff are going to be poached, or at least contacted, because people want the same success that you're having. So I see it as a compliment.
Totally. And you always have, if you're Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, you always have somebody in the bullpen waiting in the wings. So to interview and talk. All right. Here's a question for y'all. Just talking about our round table here a little bit. So who do you think owns the red zone this game?
Individual players or which team? Because I'll take the Lions.
Which team? Yeah, which team?
Well, I'll take the Lions, because the Lions have been more effective in the red zone than the Vikings have been.
Okay.
Didn't Sam just go? I mean, Sam just made the point that
he said they were 1 for 6.
Mm-hmm.
I threw you a softball. Freaking knocked it out of the park.
I'm conditioned to think that anything Bradford's tossing up is a trick question.
Lions.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I don't have the exact stats in front of me here on the Lions' success in the red zone.
Yeah, no, it's just
funny right now, Bradford. But I know off the top of my head the answer is Detroit. So
yeah, no,
Detroit.
I mean, for the simple reason that Detroit has more ways to run the ball, and I think that Laporta and Amon-Ra in the low red area are a definite threat. And you look at J-Mo and Tesla, which they have shown to throw to in the high red to mid red range, which is from that 22 to 15 yard line type range, or I would even say the 12-yard line type range that they would want to possibly go to those. And then with JMO, I could see him possibly catching a dig route across the back of the end zone on a high red situation. I just could. So that's me. That's me.
I love it. Well, let's wrap her up with some final thoughts, predictions, all that good stuff as we get ready. The next time we'll talk, we have a Sunday early game, right? Sunday
1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about that? We haven't had that in a while. We've done a lot of late nights, Monday nights, Sunday nights, 4 o'clock games. This will be nice. I'm looking forward to it. Lions at home against the Vikings. Score predictions. I will lead it off. I'm feeling confident. I feel really, really good about this one. 35-12. Lions.
Okay.
All right. Nat, you're up.
All right. Minnesota, they have lost 3 of their last 4 games. They're not feeling too hot. Vibes are incredibly low, as Sam alluded to in his segment. They are expected to start J.J. McCarthy, who could be a little bit rusty in a hostile Ford Field environment. So I'm taking Detroit to win this one at home. I'm also going to go 35 for the Lions, but I think I'll make it a little closer. I'm going to go 35-21. 35-21 Lions. Yep.
Okay. So I'll just come out and say my score, and I'll give my reasons why. I'm saying Lions 31, Minnesota 22. So the reason I'm saying this is the Lions are going to get their 30 points. They may look just a hair rusty, just a hair, just a hair. So with the influx of new talent, and I'm just putting it out there, and let's start a soap opera if you want to right now. So with the Legion
Right
of
as the
Whom,
show's ending. Perfect. Good idea.
exactly. With the Legion of Whom starting, playing very well versus Tampa, and then the starters coming back and starting. So there may be a little tension in the air. So, in the room.
Right.
Because
competitive.
Yeah, exactly. I can do that.
Yeah.
They're not making plays. I did it last week. Look,
There
now
you go.
did it for 1 week. So no, I'm just throwing it out there, just food for thought. And I think that may be a good way to end the show. We'll see what happens on Sunday.
I love it. I'm right there with you. For Natalie Kerwin and Bradford Banta, our thanks to Sam Ekstrom of the Locked On Vikings Squad Show joining us. We will talk to everybody Sunday afternoon after the Lions take on the Minnesota Vikings. Until then, make sure you like today's video, subscribe, and tell a friend about the Locked On Lions Squad Show, and talk to you next time.